how much money he's made from it. He could tell you how much he wants to tell you about that, because I don't even know that myself. But I assume that anybody, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. You can speak on this, please. But anybody that tells me, oh yeah, I was talking all about Bitcoin back in 2010, 2011. I'm sitting there thinking, oh, okay, this man's sitting on some money. He ain't telling nobody. He's being smart about it. So tell me, man, how far back do you and Bitcoin go? Do you go back to the days where Bitcoin was like 10 cents, 20 cents, $1, $2?
No.
Is that how far back do you go?
Yeah, when I got into it, it was probably around $120, $130. But it was the first time it was at $120, $130. And we had heard about it. We were pitching another company. We have a company that we raised some venture capital from. Thomson Reuters invested. Tim Draper of Draper Associates invested. But we were pitching a different company, and the investor, he said, have you guys heard of Bitcoin? I thought he said big coin. And I'm like, big coin. So we leave out, and my co-founder's like, I think he said Bitcoin. So he looked it up. And at that time, you get kind of cocky, and you kind of think like, hey man, this has nothing to do with what we're building. I'm not gonna pay attention to it. So we kind of looked over it. Fast forward, the price jumps up, and of course it brings it back to my remembrance about this Bitcoin. And I actually went and looked at the white paper, and there hasn't been a technology that fits the disciplines in which, because I'm a developer by trade and I also have that finance degree. So there's no technology that marries those two disciplines like Bitcoin, right? And that to me, and then also reading the white paper and looking at it for what it was really about. It was written by cypherpunks who were about trying to be free from the banking system and all of that. And I just really started thinking about those people that are disadvantaged and don't have a lot of opportunity. This is an opportunity for people to get involved, and no one can stop you from doing it, right? You can run your own node, you can mine, you can do whatever you want in the crypto space without somebody telling you can't do that. And that kind of freedom is what really drew me into the technology, man. Seriously.
Wow. Now, that's really interesting. And by the way, everybody just came in. I see a lot of y'all pouring in. I'm talking to Lamar Wilson. He is a crypto expert, and I want to also know more about his company as well, because I think everybody should know about this. But it's interesting that you describe it that way. A lot of people, when they talk about Bitcoin and crypto, they talk about, getting away from central banks, getting away from, fiat currency, things like that, getting away just, from centralized power. And you were actually thinking about disadvantaged communities. You're the first person I've heard actually describe it that way. You were thinking about those people that maybe can't get a bank account because they got you in that check system that they have, where you bounce a couple of checks, they'll never give you an account in a lot of banks and all that. And I find that really interesting. Can you speak a little bit more to that? Because I think that reflects how people feel in our community. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so it really comes from the fact that I've always, I got a finance degree, right? And I used to invest in stocks really early, penny stocks, which is crazy because I didn't know what I was doing, right? And I jumped in these penny stocks, and I was like 17 buying penny stocks. I was like, man, I'm the man, right? Watching CNBC and those kind of things. But what I realized is that the real money was being made in IPOs. And what happens is that in our country, our government does not allow people who are not accredited investors to invest in those types of offerings, right? You can't invest in a company too early. You got to have all these accreditations. You got to have so much money and all of that. But at the same time, and they say because of the risk, right? They say that poor people don't understand how to invest in these types of companies. But at the same time, that same government advertises the lottery to us. Right? It advertises the lottery, and in those same communities, they will not let us invest in. They advertise the lottery, which is far worse odds than, right, one out of 9, right? 1 out of 9 businesses, 9 out of 10 businesses fail, so 1 out of 10 win. The lottery is far worse odds, but then they say somebody got to win, it might as well be you. So now these people are taking their money, hard-earned money, to the store and buying lottery tickets and trying to win the Powerball, and they could be investing in Sister Sally's daycare down the street. You see what I'm saying? They could be investing in Tim's corner store, right? So then the people who come into the neighborhood and build a corner store, they could be investing in those legally and making sure that they start building those communities up. But the problem is that the law doesn't really help for people to go out and solicit money from individuals in their community unless they are accredited investors. And that stuff to me was just like crazy. So then you look at Bitcoin and you say, hey, you know what? Here I have Bitcoin. The first part of it is freedom in currency. I can send my money to whoever I want to send my money to. Like, there are certain countries in this world that you're not supposed to be sending US dollars into, right? Some of these, they're on watch lists and those kind of things, as if the entire country is bad. Like, there aren't good people in Pakistan, right? If there's not good people in Iran that you might want to, I know guys that make shoes in Pakistan, and some people would look at that and put me on a watch list if I sent money over to Pakistan to buy some shoes. You get what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff, I feel like you need to have that kind of freedom if you want to start building commerce in communities that have normally been pushed out from being able to do so. So for me, it's always started with freedom, man. It always has started with freedom, and it always started with the fact that a lot of times in disadvantaged communities, they're disadvantaged, we know disadvantaged systemically, right? They're systemically disadvantaged. If people could invest in startups in certain of these communities, instead of only allowing the rich to invest in startups and get rich off of the Facebooks of the world, right? And allow them to get rich off the Ubers of the world. You can't even go, like, I can't even go to, I talked to my lawyers, I couldn't even go to my cousins, the ones that do hair, right? They make pretty good money. I'm like, listen, they can be the first ones. And I was like, they was like, but you got to watch out for that. They was like, you got to be very careful with that because you don't want to get a whole lot of them. You can get your cousin, but like your cousin's friends and those other people, if you start soliciting and getting capital from people who are outside of that you don't really know, but your cousin knows, then you might start running into a situation where you're not getting accredited investors investing. And think about it. Here I am in a company where we have great VCs that have invested in us. Thomson Reuters is a huge company that has invested in us. UMB Bank out of Kansas City, but I couldn't go get my cousin and them's friends down the street to just put in a couple thousand at the beginning. That to me is like, that to me is just, it's wrong. And it doesn't allow for us to build the kind of wealth that we possibly could if we were allowed those types of opportunities. So that's where, for me, that's what was powerful, right? That was powerful, man.
Well, you know, yeah, I mean, it definitely comes off as a type of financial discrimination or almost like a redlining situation where you're not allowed to invest. You know, you're not allowed to plant your seeds where the soil is fertile. You got to plant your shit in the desert. You know what I mean? Like they're like, no, you can't. You know, like what they do with redlining with buying a house. They wouldn't let you buy where the home values were going to go up. Right. They made you buy in the place where the home values were going to stay depressed. And that was a huge wealth extraction from the Black community. Let me ask you this before we move on. Everybody, I want you to know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to Mr. Lamar Wilson. He is a cryptocurrency expert, and I think he's certainly somebody that everybody needs to know about. What is the name of your company before I forget to ask? Tell people about your company.
Hydro. Yes, Hydro. Hijro. Hydro. We made up the name, right? We're creative people. We made up the name. It used to be called Fluent, so you might find some of our old articles as Fluent. We found some company out of New York, some small company. We were getting so much press that someone called them and got them confused with us, which is clearly a true trademark violation, right? They started getting calls for us, so we had to change the name, and we changed it to Hydro. So I'll quickly tell you what Hydro does. We take the technology that Bitcoin is built on, blockchain technology, and what we've done is built a network for trade assets. So a lot of people understand trade assets as being invoices, things when you purchase and buy things. So you purchase orders, invoices, those types of things. We have taken those invoices, tokenized those assets, and then allow them to be traded into this network of trade asset applications. So many banks already have a lot of trade asset applications. They have what's called supply chain finance. They have accounts receivable financing, those types of things. What we're doing is building a network to connect all of them so that those assets have greater access to liquidity. And then those people who are running those types of programs have greater access to deal flow. And one of the ports that we've built ourselves, because if you think about a network, we built our own port, our own application on top of our network to kind of show how it works, that basically allows for companies, suppliers. So let's say a supplier has an invoice that can't get paid for 120 days, or let's say 90 days, and they want to shorten their days sales outstanding. And I know I might be getting into financial technical terms, but they want to shorten their days sales outstanding. And at the same time, the buyer who they actually have sold their goods to, they want to extend their days payable outstanding. Those two things don't ever really work together, right? They're kind of juxtaposed. The only way you can kind of bring both sides together is to bring a funder in the middle that is willing to buy the supplier's asset at a discount and wait for that 90 days. And so all parties are happy. So now what happens is they have a $100 invoice, they sell it for $97 to the funder, and at the end of the maturity, or when it matures, they'll get $100 back from the buyer. So the supplier gets money quickly, as fast as he can, so he can go build his inventory or whatever he needs to do with working capital. The funder gets a 3% discount over 90 days, which Doc can probably give you the quick math on that, right? Which is about 12% APR. And here's the crazy part, the buyer. So here's the buyer. The buyer could be Walmart. Now, Walmart paper, you're not going to get 12% return on Walmart paper anywhere. You're not going to get a 12% return on Walmart paper. So the funder all of a sudden is getting a 12% APR on Walmart paper, and all they have to do is buy the invoices of Walmart suppliers, right? That's where everyone wins in that circle, and that's the first application that we built. But then there's banks that are building applications on our network so that we can tie directly in. We are working with a company called SAP Ariba that's been announced, that we're starting to work through a partnership with them to where they can bring invoices into the platform, and then we distribute them out into our system. So we're working with some pretty big companies. It's still new, it's still fresh, and we were some of the first people in the whole world that were working with blockchain technology outside of Bitcoin. We're actually an accelerator full of Bitcoin companies when we came up with this idea, that when we were in there, that it didn't go off too well, because most of those guys are Bitcoin guys, and they were like, Bitcoin. But we were like, listen, we love Bitcoin for personal use and even for business use in the future and global use, but we also see there's some advantages to using the technology in other asset classes. And so that's what we've done. So.
Wow. Well, you know what? I love it. I'll tell you, by the way, Lamar Wilson, he's the founder of a company called Hydro, Hijro. You should go look it up. And what he was just basically saying is, I love the fact that you laid it out like that, because I want people, I just have this thing about smart black people. I just think that it's interesting to me. Now, let's just think about this, y'all, for a minute. If Lamar Wilson, as brilliant as he is, I'm talking about, this man is right on the forefront of a multi-billion-dollar industry. As smart as he is, if Lamar Wilson and the rapper 2 Chainz or Cardi B were both going to visit a high school the same day, kids had a choice of who they wanted to listen to, Lamar or Cardi B, Lamar or 2 Chainz, Cardi B and 2 Chainz gonna win every time. And even if the parents are picking, they'd be like, we want to listen to Cardi B and 2 Chainz. And if you want to know, in a nutshell, one of the biggest problems we got to overcome is the fact that we need to listen to the Lamar Wilsons, because guys like this are telling you, he's breaking down something that everybody needs to understand, because if you want to know where the real money's at, Lamar can probably tell you 50 stories or 100 stories about people, regular people just like you, where Bitcoin literally became like a lottery ticket for them. Literally, I'm talking about bought a few thousand dollars worth of Bitcoin. Now they got so much money, they'll never have to work again. In fact, Lamar, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I want everybody to know this before we move on, before I ask you this question. Lamar actually has been gracious enough to join us as a faculty member in the Black Business School. So if you have not joined the Black Business School, you must join the Black Business School. Even if you want to get started with the free membership, you can get started for free. But Lamar teaches our crypto program in the Black Business School. This is the kind of expertise you get. We just also signed Dr. Venetia Dutra, who was a tenured professor at the University of Denver, tenured in finance, one of the smartest women around. So we got top-notch faculty. We will give you everything a big university gives you, except they don't give you this kind of stuff. People like Lamar are not at universities. Lamar is out making money. Now let me ask you this, Lamar. Let me ask you this question, man. Tell me, just so people can kind of have a vision or just feel a little inspired as we're learning. Okay, tell me a couple of stories, or maybe one story about a person you know who got in early on Bitcoin and is doing pretty well. I just like these stories. They kind of keep me motivated, keep me interested in all this stuff.
The great thing about it is a lot of people don't understand, Doc, is that, and I'm sorry I always say Doc, but Dr. Watkins. What people don't understand is that most of these people who have made tons of money, they are very low key. I know one kid. He's probably 19 now. He actually was in our class at the accelerator, the largest blockchain Bitcoin accelerator, Boost. This kid literally moved out of his parents' house in France and he literally lives around the world right now. He just like dropped everything. He was mining Bitcoin really early on, 2010, 2011. With the mined Bitcoin he had, he just told his parents, listen, I'm gone. And he wound up getting himself in a position to where he was brought into our Bitcoin class and to our Bitcoin class at Boost. Not class, but you know what I mean by class when I say accelerator class, like our accelerator group. That kid is still living around the world as we speak right now because he got into Bitcoin early. And here's the big thing. He saw an opportunity and he took the opportunity for what it was really early because truthfully, it was not a lot of risk. It's like, if you look at where Bitcoin was and even where it is now, you can put $5 into Bitcoin. Most people think, oh man, it's $6,600, oh, it's $7,000. I can't. No, you can literally put you can buy $5. I can send you a couple pennies worth of Bitcoin, right? The fees are gonna be ridiculous right now, if you want to know the truth. But that is what is going on right now, right under our noses. And people are so afraid that they, oh man, I'm gonna lose it. But you sit here and drop $200 on some Jordans. Like if you go buy $200 worth of Bitcoin. I tell my nephew's trying to sell every Jordan he had when he was in high school. He got the whole closet full of Jordans. Now he's trying to sell them all. And I'm like, just think if you took every single time you went to go buy Jordan, instead of standing in line, you just clicked the button and bought some Bitcoin. You would have so much money right now, you would have a room for your Jordans. Like a whole room for Jordans. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest thing is that we have to and then that's one story with the young guy. And then here's another story. When Leif and I went to the Bitcoin, the Texas Bitcoin conference, which was our first conference, is where we launched our wallet, which was crazy in and of itself. That's the conference we used the whole black card to get into. You got to do what you can. We wound up getting in there. We were the only wallet you could get on an iOS device or an iPhone or an iPad. We were the only wallet. They had banned all of them. Nobody could understand. They thought we were scammers because we were able to get, they said past Apple, right? But the truth of the matter is we used Apple's entire, their fundamental way of distributing enterprise applications for our own benefit. We created a co-op and then used the co-op to distribute the application. You see what I'm saying? So we thought very creatively about it. We said we was hood rigging it, right? So we hood rigged the whole Apple situation and got past it. So all of a sudden we had this little cult following. So some of the people at that conference, it was so crazy. One of the guys came in from the Philippines and he rolls up in this Lamborghini, I think he called it Murcielago. As you can see, I'm not a big, huge sports car guy, but he pulls up in this yellow Lambo, pops open the doors. He gets out on one side, his Filipino wife gets out on the other side, and they pushing the stroller. And I'm just like, this is wild, man. I guess this started opening my mind to the amount of wealth that was being created from this currency that everyone was saying is not worth anything. It's not worth anything. There's nothing backing it. No government's backing it, right? But people don't understand. Some of the earliest currencies in the world, there were no government backing it. The sea was giving us cowrie shells. The ocean was giving us cowrie shells. And people who were closer to the ocean had a little bit more value because they were taking them in and trading them with people inside. People don't even understand the whole idea of currency, right? But then everyone's like, well, the government's not backing it. We don't have the full faith of the government, all of that stuff. And that's what was stopping people from just getting into it. And all I'm saying is the same money you spending on your lottery scratch-off tickets, put that money on some Bitcoin and leave it alone. I gave my mom, $50 worth of Bitcoin. It's worth about $500 now. I just said, here, mom, here's some Bitcoin. Hold on to it. I gave a guy $10 worth of Bitcoin. Every time he sees me, he tries to buy me a lunch. You know what I mean? Because I gave because I was literally so into the whole idea of what it could do and empower people that I was giving it away. Now people say, man, that's crazy. But I look at it as hindsight's 2020. Yeah, I probably wouldn't give that much away, right? But at the same time, I'm glad I gave it away because now it begins to plant those seeds that there's opportunity, there's availability to get into this stuff. And so now the only problem is now that the price is spiking like this, a lot of people are getting into bad stuff. And we'll talk about that, I guess, later. People are getting into stuff that it's almost like a fish in a lure going past, and they just bite at anything now just to try to get a quick piece of wealth. But they don't understand that these people who are holding these Bitcoin, they have seen almost 100% drops. They went to 17 cents, dropped back down to a penny, right? Most people who bought it at a penny, if it went up to 17 cents, you would sell, right? 17 times your money. But that's that 17 cents. Then it went up to 100, then it went to 1,200 and dropped back down to 170. You would probably sell. The whole idea is that if you get out too quick, you miss all of those gains. And so the whole idea with this stuff is if you're going to believe in it and love what the purpose of it is, hold it. There's a saying in Bitcoin called HODL, because somebody actually misspelled it. So it's just, everybody always says HODL, your Bitcoin. Everybody HODL your Bitcoin. When you find one, don't try to trade it too much. Trading it, you'll start losing. Believe me, you'll start losing because you'll get in and out at the wrong time. And something that we'll talk about a little bit later, what happened with Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, you'll get in at the wrong time of that and mess around, lose your shirt because you're just sitting here trading, right? So, all right, I'll let you keep going. I can talk about this stuff all day, Doc.
No, I think it's good. I mean, it's worth being enthusiastic about, because it's, I mean, I know I'm really intrigued by it. I mean, I've just, I just went into study mode when I first saw what crypto was doing. I think it started getting my attention a lot when it hit like 1,500 to 2,000. And that's when I was like, I started reading about it and I said, oh, I can just buy it. So I'll just buy a little bit here, a little bit there. So I started buying a lot of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And I said, this shit keeps going up. What investment is this? And then that got me reading about the blockchain and everything else, and the Civil War and Bitcoin Cash and all, which as you mentioned, we won't talk about that. And it really was just kind of a fun ride. And I started telling my students, I said, this is an interesting asset class, and also it represents something that's good for the world because it gets away from the limitations of fiat currency, gets away from central banks, gets away from inflation, gets away from that, as you mentioned, that redlining that kind of happens. And so I just kind of believed in it, and I never wanted people to think, oh, Bitcoin is going to save the world. But because if all investments can go bad, so you should always spread your money around. You don't put everything in one place. But I said, you know what? I'm going to keep planting a few seeds over there every week. I just put a little money in there, and it just kept growing. So I said, look, this is great. And so it's funny. Let me tell you this. This is what thing happened. Everybody, by the way, if you just came in, I'm talking to Lamar Wilson. He's a cryptocurrency expert. His class is called Hydro, Hijro. Also, he teaches in the Black Business School. He teaches crypto, actually. If you want to look at his program, it's theblackcryptoprogram.com. That's theblackcryptoprogram.com. We keep it 100% black in the Black Business School. You ain't got to be black to be there, but we work for the black community. Now, so let me tell you this story, man. Since we trading funny, cool stories about Bitcoin billionaires or millionaires and all that, I had a friend, right? And we would call him Money Mike, because he always had money. Even when he was like 29 years old, this guy had, lots of money in the bank. And we didn't know how much exactly because he was smart and low key about it. But he just always would just buy these really expensive things, and $20,000, $30,000 wasn't nothing to him. And I said, okay, well, as long as you ain't slanging, we good, whatever. So somebody just randomly said, I said, yeah. I said, I'm kind of proud. My Bitcoin portfolio got up to $20,000 this week. And that was cool because I think I might have put in 8 or 9, right? And then my friend said, oh, Mike has $2 million worth of Bitcoin. I said, what? He said, yeah, Mike was at the club one night and he saw Bitcoin had gone up to, $40 or 80. And he said, this looks like a good investment. So right then, Mike just on a whim just said, let me buy a few $1,000s worth of Bitcoin. Right now, think about this. There's a lot of people. You see Negroes on TV bragging about how they just bought a $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 car. You know, I just bought me, some red bottom shoes. You know, you got people male and female buying red bottoms. You got people they're selling Louis Vuitton toilets now, right? And I'm sure some ignorant ass rapper is gonna be showing off his fucking Louis Vuitton toilet, right? But Mike literally at the club was like, I'm not gonna buy a Louis Vuitton toilet. He just not into that. He said, but this looks like a good investment. So Mike made it rain, on Bitcoin, bought a few $1,000s worth, right? That has grown into a $2 million asset for him. And then this guy ain't nothing but about 33, 34 years old. And here's the thing, if his mindset had been different, if he was a person that said, oh, look, I got an extra 20,000, I'm gonna go blow it on something stupid, like a lot of people I know, then he'd be sitting around with a lot less money, wondering why all these other people have money and he doesn't. There's a lot of people like that. A lot of people say, well, why don't I have anything and these other people have it? Oh, they got lucky. No, it ain't always just you can pretend like, oh, it's just luck, or oh, somebody just gave it to him. But I'm gonna tell you, guys like Lamar, and myself, people didn't give us stuff. Lamar sat in front of that computer when other people were partying, Lamar was working. When other people were doing things the old-fashioned way, Lamar was looking for innovative ways to get ahead. So I think that should be the culture that we're pushing in our community. Can you kind of speak to that? Just as a black man. What's it been like for you to really tell people about just some of the investing opportunities you've seen, opportunities to be, a business owner, and what that's kind of done for you? What's that been like? Tell me about that in terms of telling people.
Yeah, so I didn't come up around people who were doing nothing with computers, right? And I mean nothing. My mom had a stack of AOL discs on the desk because she kept getting them in the mail, never put them in, right? Finally, she plugs it up. And we get introduced to the internet with the same buzz, being ping that everybody else did, right? But the biggest part of it is that once you start understanding these opportunities and surround yourself with people. I had a guy in college before I even really got into computers. He literally, I ain't gonna give his name, but he hacked the UK system and had every single person in UK's address, name, everything on some dot matrix paper, right? He had it printed out. And that got me intrigued. I was like, man, how did you do that? And this is at the time he could take his phone, take a recorder up to a payphone and actually get through and get a dial tone. He was using the tones off the phone to get through. So he had all of these little tricks, and I was like, man, this is so interesting to me. But really what got me into it is that because out of necessity, I needed to learn how to build a website for another company. I've been hustling my whole life. Duplex when I was 22, bought Cold Stones when I was 25. It's like started a skateboard company. In the skateboard company, I had to get a website, and the guys they said they were going to build a website, and then, we were partner. When it got down time for me to go on tour, these guys backed out on me, bro. And I feel so comfortable with you, Doc. I'm over here talking like I love to talk. You dig? But it's like they backed out on me, and at that point, I taught myself, because I said, "You're not going to stop me from going on my tour and getting these people on my skateboard tour." So I taught myself how to program over a 30-day period, and I built a social network for websites. For skateboards. And I built that social network and was going around the country. We did a 14-city tour, and from that point, I started building MySpace apps, Facebook apps. But like you said, I put in a lot of time. I put in so much time that my body is regulated. I can pretty much live off of about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, because from that time, and I'm not saying it's healthy. Like, don't go thinking that it's healthy or anything like that. I'm just saying for the last probably, 10 years almost. Yeah, it's almost 10 years. I've been able to, I can regulate my body on 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, because I work so much and try to learn about this code so much and learn about Bitcoin. I had to teach myself about cryptography and elliptic curves and all of this stuff that I didn't take in school. And I had to learn it because before then there weren't many libraries out to build like Bitcoin wallets. And so all of that stuff got me interested, because I had a drive to see, like, how can I use this technology, number one, really to help folk. And when you have that kind of drive and that kind of purpose behind you to try to help people the same way Dr. Boyce works so hard because he's always out trying to educate everyone on this financial stuff. When you got that kind of drive, work is nothing. But you also have to sacrifice, man. Like what you said is so real. Like you have to like not go out like everybody else. You can't buy the stuff everybody else is buying. Like you literally have to sacrifice. You literally have to like take a piece of yourself that you think that you have to have these things and say, I don't need that right now. I'm going to basically hold on a little bit and have some delayed gratification and take this $2,000, or in Money Mike's case, that $20,000, and invest it in an asset that I feel like is good. But what most people don't see is that was probably one of his winners, but he probably had a whole bunch of losers as well, right? Like you lose every once but that's the whole point of it. Like you have to put skin in the game. But if you out here putting your money into stuff that don't give you any return back, right? Then you don't have no money to put in the game when opportunities come. If you're not saving your money, then you don't have any money to invest when there's an opportunity. Like Dr. Boyce was able to put money into Bitcoin and dollar cost average into it. Why? Because he had income coming in to do so. He had disposable income for him to reinvest. That's the thing, man. Like, and I think that's the part that we have to start understanding. Because when I was trying to tell people about Bitcoin, man, look, prime example. It ain't even got nothing to do with Bitcoin. I remember I had two guys said, man, let's go into real estate when I bought my first duplex in 22. I said, all right, you get 3,000, I get 3,000, you get 3,000. We'll go buy our first duplex. We'll go buy our first piece of property. Come down to it, I got my 3,000. I go to them, hey, man, y'all got y'all three? First guy, he bought some rims. And then he wound up selling them, like literally, straight talk. He wound up selling them 2 years later, of course, at a cheaper price. The other guy, I told him about it. He wound up using it on, clothes and other kind of stuff. Then when I got the duplex and I done fixed the side up and I got tenants and I'm living on one side, then it's like, oh man, gosh, I can't believe you got into the real estate without us. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I just kept my money and put it in. You get what I'm saying? And that's what it all boils down to. It's like, can you sacrifice? Can you hold up for a second? Can you be patient enough to wait for those opportunities to come with the money you got? And I think that's what we've just been so conditioned that balling is stuff, right? It's stuff. It's like how much stuff can I accumulate and not how much stuff can I invest in. Balling should be how much stuff can I put my money into that at the end of the day is going to bring me back more money. Money should be a soldier for you. Money should be out like going out killing and bringing more money to you. You know what I mean? So that's
wow. I think right now, I think we need to have a resolution in this meeting, in this conversation of intelligent Black folks. We are going to officially, in the Legion of Intelligent Black people, we are going to officially change the definition of the term balling.
Yes.
The term balling is not reflective of how much money you're spending, how much money you're giving away. You're not a baller when you do that. You're a loser. Yeah. Balling should be measured by how much property you acquire or are acquiring or whatever. What do you own? Ownership is what makes you a baller, not making it rain, not throwing your money away. And I'll tell you, it's real interesting when you compare, investing your money and letting it grow and having something to show for it versus spending your money where it doesn't grow, it dies, it disappears, it gets transferred into a material object that won't have value to you in 5 years. In a way, the way people can really see how tragic that decision is. Imagine if the Cleveland Cavaliers said, we don't want LeBron on the basketball court today. We're going to make LeBron, we want you out front selling hot dogs. We're going to have you, we need you in the concession stand, LeBron. So take your 6'8" ass back there and make us some hot dogs. That's how dumb we are when we take something that can be invested and that can grow, and instead we go spend it. So I need you to get in the habit. When you see somebody brag about how much they spent on something or showing off how much money they gave away, just tell them, man, that just looks dumb to me. Floyd Mayweather, God bless you, but when you tell me you bought a $5 million car, you look dumb to me. That $5 million could easily be, if you spent imagine if Floyd bought $5 million in Bitcoin in 2011. That would be what, $100 million, right? So you gave away $100 million worth of possibility because you want to look fly for a few years. Okay, so by the way, before we move on, I want to let everybody know I'm talking to Mr. Lamar Wilson. Lamar is the founder and CEO of Hydro, Hijro. Hijro. It's a company that runs on the blockchain, which is responsible for the crypto technology and everything else. He's a very smart black man. He went to University of Kentucky, majored in finance, and the rest is history. He also runs a program in the Black Business School. It is the Black Crypto Program. He teaches us all the latest cutting edge everything about how to get ahead in the crypto game. If you want to check out his class, you can go to theblackcryptoprogram.com. That's theblackcryptoprogram.com. Third, and last but not least, before I move into the next question I want to ask, is if you want to follow and hang out with us in the Facebook group and where we talk about crypto and everything else, I'm going to ask Lamar if he can pop in there. I hope that he will. You can actually go to Black Crypto Investing. Go to Facebook, look up Black Crypto Investing, and you can join with a bunch of other black people. I think they just created the group a few days ago, but it's actually growing pretty fast. So feel free to join. Anybody in here, just knock on the door and we'll let you in so you can hang out with us. Okay, so Lamar, let's talk about recent events with Bitcoin. Now, I'm sure I know you're aware. Bitcoin this week has literally caused people to pee in their pants and lose sleep at night because the price has been just literally plummeting, rising back up, plummeting again, and there's been a lot of volatility happening. I know with my Bitcoin, I think I saw the prices up to 7,700, 7,800. Then it plummeted to in the 5,000. I think as low as 5,500. And then it started rising back up to 6,600. Now I'll tell you what I did, and then I want to get your take on it. My philosophy on investing is whatever I decide I'm gonna do from the beginning, that's what I'm gonna just keep doing. So if I'm buying $500 a week of an asset, I'll just keep doing it. Hell, high water. If it's sunny, I'm buying 500. If it's raining, I'm buying 500, and I stick with it. But I'll admit, I kept looking. I was like, wow, how low can this go? And fortunately, I made money from the drop. But tell me, man, what was going on with Bitcoin this weekend? Why did we see the crazy price movements?
Yeah, so the thing about Bitcoin is, number one, it's still a technology. And a lot of people would tell you that it's still an experiment, right? It really is. It's still an experiment, and it's still technology at the end of the day. So with it being technology, and we all accept updates from iPhone every single day, from all of our apps. That means the technology is not completely solid, so we get these updates every day. And the same thing goes for Bitcoin. Bitcoin still has to have updates. So there was a problem with it where it wasn't scaling enough for some people. Some people look at Bitcoin as being a store of value that is more similar to gold, and other people want Bitcoin to be from what kind of they saw in the Satoshi white paper, which was more of a currency that's being used everywhere. And so when you got to those, one side said, look, we'll scale, but we won't scale on the actual protocol itself. And the other side said, you know what? We can scale on the other side. Now, basically what happened was in Bitcoin, you have what's called the chain. And when those chains do something different from a protocol's perspective, you get a fork. And so on this side, you had Bitcoin. And on this side, you had Bitcoin Cash. Now, Bitcoin, right? They had just gone through what's called a soft fork and added what's called SegWit. And I'm getting a little bit technical, but hopefully you'll hear some of these words and understand it when you start reading the articles. Well, SegWit on this side is basically taking the signature off each one of the transactions and putting it into what's called witness data, so the transactions can be a whole lot smaller. You don't have to keep the data that tells you that it's a valid transaction, which makes, of course, in the long run, you're allowed to do more transactions. On this side, they said, screw that. We just gonna make the blocks bigger. So we're gonna make the blocks that hold the transactions hold a lot more transactions. That was for Bitcoin Cash. So Bitcoin continued on in this direction. Bitcoin Cash continued this way. Here's what's so dope about it is that if you had Bitcoin before the fork, not only did you have Bitcoin, you also have Bitcoin Cash. So for many people, their price is, right, I guess right now it's about $8,000. It's $6,600 in Bitcoin, $1,400 in Bitcoin Cash. Now, you heard those two. That was the first fork of the new generation. There's another fork that was about to happen called SegWit 2X. So it basically was taking the SegWit from Bitcoin that happened, and then the 2X or 2 times block size from Bitcoin Cash, and they were going to make their own fork. Now, that fork was initially said to have been made because they were trying to come to a compromise because they did all that battling between Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. They said, listen, let's jump in the middle and make a compromise. Well, once Bitcoin Cash went ahead and forked, a lot of people said, well, there's no reason for the compromise. These guys went ahead and forked. They already did the thing, right? And so what happened for about probably 2 months, you can go back and look at Twitter, there was battling. You'll see people within their tag names that'll say no TX, which basically is saying no SegWit2X. There was a lot of large companies that had signed this agreement called the New York Agreement that basically said they were going to support this SegWit2X chain, which means we would have had 3 chains. We would have had 3 forks, right? Now, a lot of people were going really hard at them. They was, saying a bunch of crazy stuff. The way I look at that is you go with the chain that you believe in, period. Like, it's choice. It gives you choice. If you believe in Bitcoin Cash, hold Bitcoin Cash. Sell your Bitcoin, get Bitcoin Cash. If you believe in SegWit2X, which didn't happen, go do that. So what happened was they noticed that there was a huge issue and that no one was really coming to consensus around doing this other hard fork of SegWit2X. So all of those guys said, you know what, we're not going to do it. And that left it back to Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, which Bitcoin Cash is supported by the guy that they call Bitcoin Jesus, named Roger Ver. He's been in Bitcoin for a very long time. They called him Bitcoin Jesus. He was one of the very early evangelists, I would say, out telling the world about Bitcoin. He has a lot. He has a lot of Bitcoin. He has more Bitcoin than he just has a lot of Bitcoin. I'm not even gonna get into it. He has a lot of Bitcoin. And the other power user that is working with him is a guy named Jihan. Now, Jihan runs the largest mining operation in Bitcoin. He runs Bitmain, Antminer, right? So you're talking about the miners that everybody is mining on that are making this money. He is the one that creates these chips to make the miners. Now, somewhere along the line, not only was he selling the chips, he started mining himself, which, if you think about it, it only makes sense. He takes the chips, makes his own miners and mine. So he starts competing against his own customer, but the only way you can get really good chips at a time was from him. He has the largest company in that space. So you're talking about 2 behemoths. You're talking about Roger Ver, Jihan, believing in Bitcoin Cash, and they began to put their weight behind it. The moment 2X fell off, they put their weight behind it, right? And so everybody's like, what? I promise you, I got so many hits on Facebook from people I know in the industry. Lamar, what do you think's going on? What's happening? Oh my gosh, this is crazy, this is crazy. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now, but it just really feels like manipulation. It really feels like these whales are basically selling off their Bitcoin to manipulate the price, to make the price of Bitcoin Cash fly up. Then when you go and look at the charts, you realize that most of the volume was coming from a small exchange in Korea called BitThumb, right? So when you have a small exchange with very low volume, you can easily manipulate the price if you have enough Bitcoin to push it up. So how do pump and dumps work? What you do is you pump the stock up, try to pump it 10%, and you know people with irrational exuberance feel like they have FOMO, which is fear of missing out. They fear they're gonna miss out on the rise, so they start putting their money in, and the next thing you know, it goes from a 10% rise up to a 30% rise. And that's exactly what you saw. And then those guys who pumped it at the top, guess what they do? They start selling it, but they selling it before everybody else is selling it, and they sell large chunks because they have a lot, which starts bringing the price back down, but they've gotten out with a large profit. So I don't think that they intended, because what happened was BitThumb got so much traffic, it got so screwed up that it shut down, and people are talking about suing them, right? BitThumb was the ones that had the crazy volume. Now all of a sudden the price is going down, but I don't think they went at it with the intention of their price going down like that. I think they went with it. They thought that they were going to get enough power, because here's the crazy part about both of those. Both of these forks mine with the same proof of work protocol, with the same proof of work algorithm. They use different protocols, but they use the same proof of work, which means that the miners are going to mine the most profitable chain. So what I believe was happening was they were trying to push the price up so that miners would switch chains. And once they switch the chains and start adding more power to the Bitcoin Cash chain, now all of a sudden there's more security on Bitcoin Cash, which now makes it look like Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin. And a lot of people believe that those guys are trying to basically usurp the brand of Bitcoin, which truthfully, whichever has the most work, I should say, on it, most people would say that is the Bitcoin. That is Bitcoin. The one that has the most mining power associated with it. When it forks, because it forks more than just that. This was just a forced fork. There's many times that it will fork in a network just because the blocks don't propagate back readily. And I know, like, again, I know I'm saying a lot of different stuff, but what happens is that when that mining starts going up here, they thought that if they had enough miners here that switched over to this chain, that this chain would lose. And what happened? Bitcoin goes offline, traffic on the other exchanges, people start selling because they're like, I didn't want Bitcoin Cash in the first place. They start selling, getting their profit out. Because remember what I said, if you had Bitcoin before, you had both. So now you can sell this off and buy more of the Bitcoin, which what happens? When they start selling this off and buying more Bitcoin, what happens to Bitcoin price? It starts going up again. So now you're talking about this crazy imbalance. And this is the kind of stuff, this is the reason why I say, put in what you're willing to lose. Put in the money. Like, if you have $500 a week disposable income and that's what you want to invest, and instead of buying what, like you said, the Louis toilet seats, put that money in every single week, dollar cost average in, because what'll happen is as the price goes lower, you'll get more. As the price goes higher, you'll get less, but you'll still be accumulating that asset in the long run if you believe in it. But make sure that you don't put in more than you're willing to lose. I have seen the same way you see the guy on Lambo, I have seen people lose their entire shirt. And then they start blaming it on themselves. As soon as I get into Bitcoin, I lose everything. It's like, that's just the nature. It literally is the nature of it. It goes up, it goes down. It's a very volatile asset. Just understand that before you start investing. And then your hands won't be as loose. You'll just hold on. You'll hold on to your Bitcoin and let it work its way out. If you were in the internet, if you had stock in the internet itself, not Google, not Amazon, anything else, if you had stock in the internet itself in 1994, would you sell it when the dot-com boom happened? Bust happened. See, exactly, right? Dr. Watkins wouldn't sell it, but some of you would say, yeah, I'm selling it. I'm getting out of there. When they get out of there, I'm getting out of there. I'm running for the exits as well. But then you would not have been able to gain the benefit of Facebook and Google and Amazon, right? And these companies that made it through that made it past that, and show you the value that is the internet right now, and the Hulus and the Netflix and all the other entities that are on top of the internet. So the thing is with Bitcoin, we are in early stages. Like the early stages of the internet, we are in the early stages of this technology. People haven't figured out exactly how to scale. If anybody remembers the early internet, I don't know how young your audience skews, but it would take you probably three minutes sometimes to download some of the pictures that were on the internet. You just be watching them load really slowly. That's because the internet couldn't scale at the time. There wasn't enough bandwidth. Same thing with Bitcoin. There's not a lot of bandwidth now, but there are some very, very smart people working to remedy that problem. So if you get into it, hold on to it. And that's the thing. So Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, those two things, whichever one you believe in, you buy it and hold on to that thing. And if Bitcoin Cash goes to nothing, you lost what you said you were gonna you lost what you said you were willing to lose. If Bitcoin goes to nothing, you lost what you're willing to lose. But just hold on to it, and be on the lookout for other things. I remember I was in Toronto when Ethereum launched. Now, I didn't buy a dime of it. This is a story. I didn't buy a dime of Ethereum when it launched. I knew the guys. One of the guys, he was one of the guys that helped us get into CoinDesk, one of the founders. I know these guys, straight up and down, know these guys, cool with them, and I didn't buy a dime of it because I really just didn't understand what the purpose was at that time. And now, of course, Ethereum's worth about $300 per Ethereum. And I could have bought it when I had all of this money sitting there in Bitcoin anyway. I could have transferred some over to Ethereum, right, and bought some Ether and probably gained $10-12 million. Seriously. That's what's so crazy. It's like you have to be on the lookout for opportunities. I don't feel bad about it. I missed it. Okay, keep it moving. But it's like those are the kind of things you will miss out on if you're not willing to take a risk and just step outside of yourself, right? All my money that was in Bitcoin was money I was willing to lose, and I was getting money because I was doing services for Bitcoin. That's a great way to get it. If you do services, charge Bitcoin. Let people pay you in Bitcoin. That's a great way to accumulate Bitcoin because they were going to pay you anyway. Or when you get money from your services, take some of that money and buy Bitcoin immediately, almost like a 401k into crypto. And then use the Bitcoin to start diversifying to other assets that you understand. But anyway, I'm done, man. I'm done with the whole Bitcoin Cash. If you have any questions, Doc, just throw them at me. I hope I explained why it did that.
Well, you know, you've been preaching good gospel, man. This has been very interesting stuff. I'll tell you, everybody. First of all, I want you to know who I'm talking to in case you came in a little bit late. I'm speaking to Mr. Lamar Wilson. Lamar is a cryptocurrency expert. He's the CEO and founder of Hydro, Hijro. It's a company that runs on the blockchain, which is the underlying technology behind Bitcoin. Also, Lamar is a faculty member in the Black Business School. You can actually check out his class. You can go to theblackcryptoprogram.com, theblackcryptoprogram.com, and take a look. And you can also join our Facebook group, which is Black Crypto Investing. Go look up Black Crypto Investing. Now, I want to ask you a last question. I want to pick your brain on this one issue. Now, I've got to bring you back because I have this feeling that if I was to try to pick your entire brain, I'd be picking for the next 200 years. It'd be much harder than Bitcoin mining. It sounds like you've educated yourself so well on this, and I think you're in just the right spot. You know, I respect your background because as you know, my doctor's in finance, and I always felt that when I look at crypto, I look at it from a financial standpoint as a finance guy. And so I'm looking at it in terms of it being an asset class, an investment, the volatility, the risk reward. All the regulation. I'm thinking about all of that. But then also that technology piece is beautiful. The fact that you studied the finance in undergrad, but then you also supplemented that with your deep understanding of technology and stuff like that. And now I've done a little bit of computer programming, but not like what you've done. Most of my stuff was like research papers to using programs like SAS and whatnot. The stuff about cryptography and all of that is really powerful stuff. So let me ask you this, man. If you were sort of talking about things that people should guide their kids into to help them to become successful, to kind of be on top of the latest trends, latest information, so they can sort of get ahead of the curve and win in life in general on their own terms. What sorts of things would you tell a parent to have their young person working on so they can have a chance to do some of the things you're doing right now?
Well, it might not be the answer you think I was gonna give, but it's really the first thing is find out what those kids love. Like, it don't matter what it is. Find out what they love. Like, all kids are not gonna love the program. My oldest son, he's more into film and doing creative things, music and writing, right? But my middle son develops video games. I try to teach them all how to program. I taught my daughter, my son how to build a calculator using JavaScript. My middle son's really taking off with it. He's building video games. My daughter, she's more of the bank. She likes to loan money and get usury all day. So I mean, all I say is try to figure out what those kids love. Because if they don't love it, man, like no matter how often you try to push them in that direction, they're gonna be miserable as crap doing something they don't love just because dad told them to do it, right? But I also think that one thing is introduce them to as many things as you possibly can so you can find out what they love, so they can find out if they like it, right? I think that's the biggest thing is just introduce them. Like, I introduce all my kids to the same stuff and all of them went, right? And I feel like that kind of freedom and creativity, I think you said it on one of your episodes, it's like we as Black folk need to understand the value of creation over consumption. And it's like we need to learn to create things more than we consume things. And so I think the best way to do that is to give them access to things that even you don't even understand, like stuff that you might not understand, but you heard somebody. My kids and I were sitting in a hotel lobby talking one time, and we was going back and forth. We always talking about some really nerdy stuff. And this Black couple behind us, I didn't even know they were listening. They were ear hustling hard, boy. They was ear hustling. They walked over and they just sat with us and they said, listen, the stuff you telling your kids about, they was like, keep telling them about it. And evidently they were like big in like politics and those kind of things. And they were like, keep telling them about them, because we was reading news articles in the USA Today. You know, every hotel got USA Today. And we were just talking about them. And I think just giving kids access to stuff, you will realize they are so creative. They'll see stuff that you don't see. And then they'll start loving things that you couldn't even imagine them loving. So I think that's the biggest thing for success, man. Is just getting into something that they love to do, putting them in an opportunity. And if they don't like it and they can't stand it, it's just my philosophy. I make them finish it. But then after that, I'm like, you got to finish what you start. But if after that, it's like, I'm not going to force my oldest son to program just because that's a field that is hot right now. You know what I'm saying? He wants to do film. He's good at it. He keeps learning. He goes to the library and learns about it. So do what you do, bro. That's how I feel. That's what I think. That's how you position children for success, man. I think you just find out what it is they love and just support them in it, man, straight up. So.
Well, I think that's excellent advice, outstanding advice. And I think, and what I like about what you're saying about your philosophy with your kids is, I think that allowing your child to follow their passion also means not forcing them to follow a stereotype. It's unfortunate that we still live in a world where people think it's so rare and amazing that this father is teaching his children, things like filmmaking, computer programming, and banking. I know a lot of kids who don't know anything about any of those areas, but they can recite a Nicki Minaj song from start to finish. You know what I mean? And I think that we got to sort of think about, because based on the way you're raising your kids, it doesn't sound like any of them will ever be broke or too broke. I was broke for a little while, and I don't see them growing up into victims, and I think sometimes we can inadvertently raise victims by not training our children on how to be successful, how to get ahead of the curve. Because, like when you go to these crypto conferences where you're the only black guy there, I'm sure, you're like me. I've been to a lot of financial conferences and whatnot where I'm the only black guy. And I'm like, how come I can't get other black people to get into the stuff where the money's being made, where the power is being wielded? Because for white guys, it's not a big deal for a white guy to have 20 friends who do, cutting edge JavaScript and computer programming and all that. Why is it that as a black person, it's almost like you have to almost apologize for being into what you're into, or that you're like they treat you like you're a unicorn. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, you're such an exception. You're such a credit to the race. No, there should be 10 million guys like you that are doing the same stuff, man. So you mentioned the topics being nerdy topics. And my thought is like, those are not nerdy topics that you're talking about. As far as I'm concerned right now, you're the coolest guy in the room. And I think we got to talk about that, So I'll let you get the last word, man. What's next? What do you think is next? Because I'm going to have you back, by the way. I'm going to have his brother come back because I think he's that